James Ham, also creator of the King's Beat. New episode of the King's Beat, I'm guessing, drops right at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it depends on how fast I can upload it while we're on here.
There we go. It might actually drop while we're talking.
That's funny.
But we bring James Ham here as the Sacramento Kings get ready to take on the Houston Rockets for the second time in 3 days. Hammer, how you feeling? The elusive 5 games.
Oh, boy.
The date's in our notes somewhere.
April 18th.
Is that the day? 2016?
Yeah.
It was the last time they were, or 2006, excuse me, 2006. The last time they were 5 games over 500. Does it happen tonight?
I don't know. I was a much younger man then.
Well, that was a long time ago, James.
I only had one son the last time that happened. The other one he's now 15.
That's crazy.
You know, James, I said something.
That's crazy.
He will drive. Will they win get 5 games over 500 before he gets his learner's permit? That's the question.
James, I said something yesterday that I actually really believe. I always say whatever I believe. There ain't no shock value.
Wait, you really believe this one?
As opposed to when he said something, he was just full of crap.
Well, that's when I say, the Raiders are a really tough team.
Oh yeah, we all know that. Yeah.
But I said there's a possibility that if they get over this 5 game over 500 hump, they ain't coming back. And now I'm like all the way in. When they do it, I don't know if it's today or whenever they do it. When they do it, they're not coming back. They're going to stay at least 5.
This is their best chance to do it, especially with who they play Sunday.
I think it's like a hump that you need to get over. It once you get over this, it becomes much easier to go get the 6th, to get the 7th, to get the 8th, which they could string together right here without any problems. I mean, you got San Antonio, the Lakers, and then OKC.
OKC
go beat that. Yeah.
OKC
They're
is tough.
Sneaky. They got like 19 wins right now.
They're physical. They've got a star. They've got some great defensive players. Giddey is a stud. I love Lou Dort. How many players on that team would you love to have on your team? And I don't want Poku, but outside of that, I would take Giddey. I would.
What's the Williams, the rookie?
Well, they have 2 Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams, that's what it is.
So
the one with the afro.
The Jalen Williams is really good.
I even like that one guy. I forgot his name, but he's been on the Thunder for a couple years with the shag, the light skin guy with the shag.
Williams.
Kind of like him. I've always kind of liked him.
Yeah, see, like that team has a bunch of players. The problem that they have is that they got all those draft picks and none of them are super, super high. Of course, they did get, Chet this year, so we're seeing them without Chet. But I'd also say, like, they keep running into this problem that they don't have enough roster spots. So last year they had to waive players that you just wouldn't typically waive because they don't have enough space for all these young players. And eventually you would expect them to go out and try to make a big trade to get better and to speed up their process. But they seem perfectly fine just like sitting back and waiting this thing out and hoping that they find their version of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden like they did once before.
Yeah, that game next Friday is going to be a fight. That game with Oklahoma City is going to be an absolute fight.
Oh yeah, they're tough, man. They don't.
Shea and De'Aaron are going for like 80 combined points.
Yeah, I think that is one of those games where you need De'Aaron to step up and like into that role and say, look, he might be an all-star, but so am I.
Yeah, absolutely. Houston Rockets tonight. There's a belief that the Kings really didn't play well on Wednesday, but they did in the fourth quarter. Where do you balance the first 3 quarters with the final quarter?
Like, look, they're NBA players. They've got a bunch of NBA players on that roster. Whether they're great NBA players or whether
they being Houston.
Yeah, Houston. They've got a top tier talent in Jalen Green. Alperen Şengün is absolutely like a joy to watch. He's funky, but man, he can play. Again, talk about a team that you wouldn't mind having a couple of players like Tate is. I really like him. I really like KJ Martin. They tried to give KJ Martin away during the offseason. Like, why weren't teams lining up for this? This is what he's done every single time. And again, it just cements the fact that that's who the Kings are missing. They need one of those guys. They don't have that guy that can just come in and hammer down 5 or 6 balls on you and like really be impactful in like a short burst. But they hit shots. That's it. They weren't that impressive. They just hit shots. They came into the game one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league, and early on they were hitting. Once they cooled off, the Kings ran them over, or like what was it, 40-20 in the
40 to 20, 41 to 20.
Yeah, 41-20 in the fourth, right? Yeah, and like I think it goes back to like who is this Kings team, and they keep showing us that they're a group that can come out and in a short span run over somebody, and it doesn't have to be just Sabonis or Fox. It can be someone else. And I really like the way that I saw De'Aaron Fox. He had 9 points, and then you saw him kind of pull back and realize that Trey Lyles was on fire, and he just kept feeding him. And Fox had 6 assists in the fourth quarter. Like very, very impressive. Like the recognition, the understanding that it's not about you. It's not about you trying to get to the All-Star team. It's not about you becoming the clutch player of the year, Mr. Clutch. It's about winning a game and bringing up a fellow teammate when they have an opportunity, when they catch fire. I thought it was a really good moment of growth for him. And another moment where Trey Lyles just like, 6, 7, 8 times this season where the Kings just flat out wouldn't have won a game without Trey Lyles. Like his impact on a game has been really, really interesting to watch. Like it's not every night, but you can single out game after game where he was so huge in crucial moments of the game and led to a victory. And that's good. That's good for a guy who's 8, 9, 10 in your rotation.
Yeah. And I agree with what you talked about with De'Aaron Fox in that fourth quarter. And, he had the 9 points, but then he went into playmaker mode. And we talk about how Trey Lyles took over the fourth quarter and played well in the fourth quarter, but Damian brought it up. De'Aaron Fox, 9.6 assists in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
like that was point guard level stuff in that fourth quarter, the way he took over offensively. And to go along with that, I thought he started to turn off the water on Jalen Green a little bit and was doing a good job on him in that fourth quarter as well. It's not as flashy as what we see when he's, making 17 points in the fourth quarter, but he was just as dominant in that game in the fourth.
Yeah, no, I thought he was totally dominant. I mean, it's what you want to see from him is there's so many different ways to win a game, and you need to figure out different ways during the season. And it can't just be about De'Aaron Fox going for 17 points and taking over and winning a game. And I thought it was one of those like really, really good leadership moments. And he's had a couple of them this season where I felt the same way, where he saw where he could just like put the throttle down and just run someone off the court. But instead he got his teammates involved. He let them be part of the process. Even go back to last year, the Chimezie Metu 3 in the corner where Fox drove the lane, found Chimezie for the open 3, and they won the game. I mean, it was 100% on him. He could have easily gone up and tied the game at the rim, but he found his guy in the corner and instilled that confidence in him. And it's something also he said that he's really working on putting the ball at the perfect spot for his teammates to shoot. And that's a major growth piece for De'Aaron.
Growth seems to have been the growth in coaching seems to have been kind of key words this week following the Lakers game on Saturday and into the Orlando game. And then again, the Houston game on Wednesday. I thought you had one of the great sound bites from Keegan Murray yesterday that we played on the show where he was talking about coaching and being challenged by Mike Brown. And I know you wrote about that on the Kings Beat last night.
Yeah, there's something about Mike Brown that I think people just miss, right? He is all over these guys on the court. He is holding everyone accountable. They're if you listen closely to the postgame and the pregame, but really the postgame, you'll hear the players talk about it, how Trey Lyles said that, Mike Brown has been on him because he's a really, really good rebounder, and he's proven that he can really be a great offensive rebounder this season, but he's not getting this same sort of traction on the defensive rebounding boards. And he's like, why is that? And it's something, like no one ever figured out that with Carl Landry. He's one of the great offensive rebounders in the game. during his time with the Kings and Houston, never was a good defensive rebounder at all. And it's because there's no, like, you don't get anything for getting a defensive rebound. You go to the other end of the court, offensive rebound. Usually, if you're a big man, you're right near the rim and you get to go back up and score some points. So he challenged Trey Lyles to like be a better defensive rebounder, and all of a sudden he's all over the place. But then Trey brought something up too that it plays into this whole discussion, that Mike Brown told him that in front of the entire team, that Mike Brown is taking moments where he's laying it out there, what the expectations are for every single player, but he's not doing it behind closed doors all the time. Sometimes he's doing it in front of the rest of the team. So not only do you have an expectation, you know what's expected of you, but now your teammates start to have an expectation of what the coaching staff wants from this player and this player and this player. So if those guys aren't living up to what they're doing, a teammate can go over and, hey man, like, you only got one defensive rebound, like you need to step it up. Or, hey, you don't want it to be called out. And so I think it plays back to what we heard from Keegan. Keegan is like the poster child for Mike Brown, like throwing him under the bus at this point, because Mike Brown has never really singled out an individual player and said, you did something wrong or you're not doing something well enough to the media. He's done it behind closed doors, clearly. But he's really hard on Keegan behind closed doors. He's been hard on him in the media. He's demanding more and more and more from Keegan. And at the same time, as soon as basketball is over, he's putting his arm around the kid. He's supporting the kid. He's making sure that, he's part of their family. And I thought it was really interesting for Keegan to say that Mike Brown has become a total father figure for him. And, and again, Keegan Murray has a very good father, a father who's very engaged, who's taught them, who's coached their basketball teams for years and everything else, like a very engaged father. But for him to have someone here as a young man who's on his own for the first time, who's got family struggles going on back, at home, and who has all year long, and who, really it's so hard. And people forget too, this is a twin. He's an identical twin. And people forget, like, he and his brother are like 3 or 4 minutes apart. They've lived together forever. They've shared the same car. They had an apartment together. Like, that tie, leaving that behind, like, this is a kid that needs a ton of support. And Mike Brown is checking off so many boxes for not only for his players and his team, but for me as well, as someone who covers them every day. He's not leaving anything to chance. He's making sure he's touching base with every single player all the time. He's keeping them engaged. He's keeping Terrence Davis, like, engaged even when he's not playing. And then when he is playing, the expectations don't change. Like, it's a consistency that this franchise has lacked for so long. And I really think he was the perfect coach at the right time for this team.
There's a personal element that Mike Brown brings to the table that gives him the leeway and the cachet to kind of criticize these guys basketball wise when needed. Right. Like, I feel like you talk about him, saying whatever he says to Keegan, then afterwards putting his arm around him. I mean, stuff like that, like having that type of relationship, I know as a player, and I try to do as a coach, I can accept the things you're telling me, because you're not coming at me, the person, or me, the player, just to come at me. You're coming at me because you, number one, think I'm capable of it, and you want to see the best out of me. And there's a level of, I love you. I love you. You ain't never got to worry about that. This is never personal. You know what I mean? This is, you got a job to do, or I expect you to handle something there. And as long as, these players all have that type of relationship with Mike Brown, where they can feel that from him, you can always go back to Metsu, even though he hadn't played in however many days, or Terrence Davis, or, Keegan, start him out there and expect 3 rebounds, because there's a personal element that Mike Brown brings that I don't think not all NBA coaches bring to the workplace, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about this so many times. This is my 9th NBA head coach in my 13th year. So, like, I've covered everything under the sun, but, Paul, Keith Smart, Michael Malone, Tyrone Corbin,
George Karl
Karl
didn't put his arm around the rookie.
Okay, but I'll make a distinction. I think that like it's my job to break down barriers between the head coach and myself, right? It's almost like, I know this sounds strange, but in a lot of ways, it's almost like for people who out there, like you have to figure out what it is that your boss likes, right? Like the way that they function, the way that they act, the things that they appreciate and the things that they don't appreciate. Like it's your job when you get a new boss to figure out your new boss, right? Do they let you take longer breaks, or are they like a they're counting every tick type guy? You know, are they okay with a bunch of request days off, or are they not? Or, you know, like what kind of boss are they and how do they function? All that. So as a reporter, they're not my boss, but I have to treat them in sort of that way where I need to figure out ways to break down barriers. And I'm usually pretty good at it, like just because that's my personality. I can break in with, like, I can have conversations with just about anyone. But I often in the course of my time covering this team feel like there are coaches who have great relationships with me, but do not have those same relationships with their players. They don't have that ability to have those same exact sort of moments with their players. And that's because one of the players, some of them don't understand that that's part of it. You need to figure out your coach. You need to figure out what makes them tick and the do's and don'ts for every coach. But also some coaches, they just don't, like, they have their assistants do it. They overlook that aspect of it, of the personal touch. And that's where I really do believe that Mike Brown has an ability to connect with so many different types of people, but also to be really hard on someone on the court and then to be a father figure off the court. Not everyone has that ability. And like, it's not that I'm calling out Dave Yeager or I'm calling out like Luke Walton, but I can tell you that I had really good relationships with both of those guys. And I know specific players who did not have good relationships with them at all. And so I don't think we've seen that with Mike. There isn't a single player that doesn't feel like they're part of the family. And that's a big thing.
We've got tickets to see our family known as the Sacramento Kings coming up January 25th. It'll be the Sacramento Kings versus Toronto, and we've got those for you right now. Caller number 3, 916-909-1320. Again, the Kings, Golden One Center, January 25th. Caller number 3 right now, 916-909-1320. Do you think a conversation was had this week, like specific conversations? Because I think about your conversation with Keegan, but we also heard Trey Lyles talk about being challenged to rebound more. And I think about the way Terrence Davis has looked on the floor, even in kind of the ugly minutes of the Orlando game, and then the way he looked in the starting position on Wednesday. Do you think some guys were pulled aside following that Los Angeles game, and it's like, hey, let's reset here. These are my expectations for you. This is what I want from you. This is what I expect of you. This is what I believe that you can do. Some of you guys haven't been getting playing time. Chimezie Metu, great example. Here's how you're going to get it, and laid everything out for those guys, because it seems to have been a talking point with a lot of guys this week.
Yeah, I'm going to
say
guess
a lot, a couple of guys this week.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that there has been some pretty like tough love moments here over the last couple of weeks. You know, there are players who aren't playing extremely well, guys that are up and down, guys that are, you know, in and out of the rotation, but even a guy like Malik Monk, who's been like, it's been all over the board. Like, you have no idea sort of what you're getting from him each and every night. You hope that you're getting the same energy, but you're not getting the same production.
He needs Chimezie. He ran the numbers. He needs Metu out there with him. That's his running buddy.
No, I totally agree with that. But I think at some point, like, the players have to take some personal ownership of why it is that you haven't gone 8 games over 500 at this point, because it's been there so many times. You know, you had the let up against Washington, the let up against Charlotte, the let up against the Lakers, let up against the Hawks. Like, these are like coming to Jesus moments in the NBA, where it's like, if you want to be an elite team, if you want to be a team that doesn't like just make the play in and get bounced by like one of these championship contenders that are sandbagging, then you need to start pushing. You need to get better. You need to like it's now or never. It's this stretch of games at home when you have this opportunity to really become, a 3-4 seed. And it might not be like a really solid 3 or 4 seed in the Western Conference, but it doesn't mean you're still not there. The standings don't lie.
Right.
You can still be a team that gets bounced in the first round, but man, if you have an opportunity, you're the 5th seed right now. If you win tonight, you go back up to the 4th seed. Like if somehow you get a home game, a home series, like at least you have a shot. You have a shot to go beyond the first round, not a shot to win the whole thing. I'm not being like crazy here, but you got a shot to take someone down in the first round. And that's where they should be thinking. I kind of relate it to like the same way. If I'm Domantas Sabonis, you made 2 All-Star games right now. You make a 3rd All-Star team. You're on the cusp of being a Hall of Fame player. You need probably 3 more and you're in. 3 more and a bunch of wins in the playoffs and stuff like that. But you're starting to see where, like, if you're in that position as a player, man, you got to be all in every single night, which is what we see from him. But you need to be all in every single night because all of a sudden you're talking about a legacy for you and your dad and, like this incredible lineage of Hall of Fame players and all that stuff. Like, it's one thing to make the league. It's another thing to, be a starter. It's another thing to like be a top tier starter. It's another thing to make an all-star team. But now you start to compile a career. And that's what I think the Kings need to start looking at right now. Like, how do we get to that next level? And we can't just keep saying it, well, maybe next year. Like, if it's there for the taking this year, why not? Like, go push. Try to be as good as you can be. It doesn't hurt you. I mean, what's it going to hurt you? A couple of draft spots? You already kind of killed yourself in the draft if you make the playoffs. So this is a moment where I think that they're starting to learn how good they are, how good they can be, and kind of take it from there.
James, I said it, and I'm not joking. I said it a couple weeks ago. I said, isn't that out of the realm of possibility Kings can make the NBA Finals? It's not. Like the West is what the West is with the West.
Yeah.
There are teams that obviously you say, nah, they're better. Memphis is better, or the Nuggets are better. New Orleans, when everybody was there, they look better. But you mean to tell me like
the West is the NFC?
The West is the NFC. You mean to tell me like they're unbeatable? And I preface it by saying if the Kings were in the East, like, no, you're not beating Boston in a 7-game series. You're not beating Milwaukee. Like, those teams are, in my opinion, true championship teams. They don't have those in the West. They don't have those in the West right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that there is no true championship team, but like getting all the way through all of that, like, again, the Kings just haven't been there. Like, we've even talked about like nationally televised games, right? They don't get nationally televised games. They haven't got nationally televised games. So these players have no idea what it is to sit there for like a 4.5 minute television break. And they got all this nervous energy and they're freaking out and stuff. They haven't even got to that point where they're actually getting recognition from the league. I mean, they had their one ESPN game just yanked from them because the Rockets are so bad. And what
they
would
put on a 30-point blowout instead?
Yeah, the NBA.
For the record.
Yeah, do you think that would have helped De'Aaron Fox's like search for an All-Star bid?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, it would have if people saw him blow up and or Domantas Sabonis. I mean, Domantas Sabonis can't break into the top 10 of the NBA voting. He puts up a near triple-double almost every single night. I mean, there are 8 games this season where he has 8 assists or more and doesn't get a triple-double. Already has the points and rebounds and doesn't get the triple-double. And then there's another game where he's had a double-double with assists and points, but fallen 1 rebound short. He could easily have 12 triple-doubles at this point. Not even like a stretch. He could easily have that. If Harrison Barnes doesn't miss a layup, and he got fouled, but missed the layup when he got fouled, Domantas Sabonis has his 4th triple-double. I mean, and those things do actually matter when you're talking about the ordinary fan looking at like what a player does in the NBA. You know, if the triple-double list is Jokic and Doncic and Sabonis, and it's really close to that still, but if he was way up there with them, it would mean a lot more.
Oh, okay. Good to know we love triple doubles again. That's very nice. We'll come back. We'll talk with James Ham because you mentioned Kevin Huerter. Obviously, got questions about him and his availability tonight. So we'll talk about that, and if he's not available, what that means for Terrence Davis and the Sacramento Kings tonight and moving forward. And we'll do that when we return here with James Ham on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. That's good stuff,
So
man.
this
That
is-
stuff on Mike Brown was really, really good.
This
Really
is
good.
funny because
Can we clip that? Can that be the clip, Jesse? Jesse? Okay, never mind. I guess fuck me. That's fine. That's fine. Yes.
You talking to me?
Can we clip James talking about Mike Brown? I thought that was really good.
I was just about to talk about like
Or just the Mike Brown thing in general. Sorry, go ahead, Casey.
I was gonna say earlier I talked about how like I didn't like the way LeBron was looking last night.
Mm-hmm.
Looked old and slow.
Mm-hmm.
He still had a great game. He had 24, 16,
Mm-hmm.
and 9. But I was like, are they gonna wear down LeBron? And I hadn't looked at this before, but this just came up. LeBron's last 5 games: 47, 10, and 9, 43, 11, and 6, 25, 7, and 10, 37, 8, and 7, and then last night, 24, 16, and 9. So I guess last night was the only night he looked a little lethargic because I guess he's just been killing.
Best player that's ever lived.
He said it. He said it.
I'm not gonna. I shouldn't even tell you what to do. Do whatever you want. Like I just thought the clip with whichever you want. If you were even looking for a clip, if you weren't looking for one, then it's fine. Did we ever hear from Sheena?
No.
Man, too many likes. Damn it.
No, you're just tweeting away.
I love my man is all over the place from the Kings post game. That video's everywhere.
Who?
My guy.
What was he?
You ain't seen this guy yet?
No.
This was the Kings put this out. This was the post game show. He just the Kings were like, we need to get this guy out at every game. Something about a TV camera that makes people act wild.
Oh, they be wilding out. Wilding out. Oh, my bad, Shy. It is it's a starter jacket. Starter. Wow. I didn't see this. It's a good look. Forbes named Sacramento best place to live in California.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Forbes, huh?
Hey, who wrote that?
Sacramento is the best place to live, though.
I was just about to say this is a pretty nice place to live, man.
Yeah, like I don't want to move out.
Like all things pound for pound. Sacramento might be number 1.
I got a weird question.
Stephen Brown hates Sacramento.
I was born here.
California.
I said I have a weird question. I'm just going to let it linger.
I was about to say, I was waiting for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ride even harder for him. Jeez.
He's killing it. California's capital city is family friendly, has ample educational opportunities, and offers a reasonable cost of living. Its unemployment rate is among the lowest in the state, as government, healthcare, and technology are core industries. Sacramento is also an excellent gateway to the splendors of temperate Northern California, while also being 2 hours from San Francisco. For local leisure activities, there are several professional sports teams, a 32-mile bike trail, breweries, and coffee shops.
I'll take it.
Need to add the beam in there.
And the beam.
That's what's going to get everybody here.
The beam can't like go anywhere now, like, right? It has to be a
It's
fixture. Like it's gotta
forever.
Yeah, it's gotta be around.
Did you see was it a haiku by Vivek that he put on Instagram? I was
I
just
missed
Brett
this.
Huff put something up, and
Uncle V,
I'm not sure what it was.
What's Uncle V talking
I don't know.
about?
It's the go home stretch here on this Friday. Reminder, got a 3-day weekend coming up as we'll be celebrating Dr. King on Monday. So we will be back with you on Tuesday at noon. Of course, they'll be celebrating Dr. King and HBCUs tonight at the Golden One Center.
Let's go.
That means you can go say hi to Kenny because he's going to be there. Let me tell you this. Kenny wasn't going to be at the game on Monday. He wasn't going to be at the game on Tuesday. But Kendra Montgomery Block sent us a text on Wednesday. All of a sudden, plans changed, pal.
Hey, man, she called for us. She said, we need you here. That's what we're doing.
It's very literally our night at the Golden One Center. Speaking of, is it Kevin Herter's night at the Golden One Center? I saw you post
Good job by you.
a video of him.
Yeah, nice segue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Smooth. Yeah, okay. So Herter was at shoot around this
Yep.
morning. He's been sick the last 2 days with an undisclosed illness
That's not COVID.
that's non-COVID related. He was on the practice court. He was getting shots up with his friends. And then afterwards, they're running him really hard up and down the court, trying to get him to hit 10 threes between, each end. Like he'd run down, they'd serve him a ball, he'd shoot a 3, sprint to the other end. I think they were testing his physical fitness level.
Yeah.
I'm going to say there's a possibility he plays, but he also had not been in the gym the previous 2 days at all. So he literally was gone sick. And so there's a possibility he plays. But lastly, I'll point out that he was wearing the gray jerseys of the second team, not the black jerseys of the first team. He wasn't working.
Kevin Herter's been benched. You heard it. Tweet it.
He has
James Ham.
not been benched, but what they're probably going to make sure that he's okay, especially with, some travel coming up and everything else. You don't want him to have a setback. I wouldn't be shocked if he plays, but I also wouldn't be totally surprised if they take it easy for one more day.
There's got to be some thinking, and I don't like doing this, but there's got to be some thinking that we just beat Houston on Wednesday without him. Yeah, again, but I'm not. I get if he's healthy, he's healthy. But if conditioning is a factor, or if he's not quite there yet, maybe err on the side of caution with the Spurs coming up on Sunday and then the Lakers on Wednesday on the road.
Hearing James break it all down, I'd be surprised. I would be surprised if he played. I mean, if he hadn't when you say he just stepped into the gym today?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is first day. I mean, but when was it? We saw him Monday night. When was
Orlando?
Yeah, that was Orlando, and then we didn't see him. So it might have been 3 days. He hasn't been there. But when we last saw him, he was wearing the pink sweater that we lovingly joked about with his complexion and hair color. That us gingers should not be wearing pink sweaters.
Kuzma style pink sweater?
No, it wasn't one of those.
No, it was
it's more of a James Ham style.
It was a hot pink.
It had
Yeah.
I noticed that. I think it was your video. I think you posted a video.
I posted a video, and when he went to pull it out of the locker and put it on, I was like, that is bold.
Did you talk to him about it? Did you pull him aside and say,
bold move, Cotton? Yeah.
It's bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you think Terrence did?
I thought he struggled.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he was so hopped up. Like, that's the problem. He gets so excited to be in there. And I feel for him.
I feel like he brought that same energy, though, in the few minutes he played or against Orlando. Like, he got the call in, I don't know if it's like 4 minutes. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
but he was all over the place.
I thought he played his butt off on Saturday. Like he was working. Maybe it didn't result in made buckets, or maybe he missed an assignment, but I thought he was.
Yeah, he definitely
was
missed some
playing hard.
assignments, but
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like Terrence is you almost have to let him miss one, correct it, and then I feel like he's good from there. I thought I didn't think he was great. I didn't think he was bad.
A lot of times, if he misses his first shot,
Oh no, not that again.
You know you're in for it.
Oh man.
But I also say this, like,
buddy healed virus crap.
But the other problem he had is, like, right in the first quarter, he did the out of bounds turnover where he stepped in. I don't know if you guys even saw that or if the telecast caught it. He went to inbounds the ball, but didn't get fully out of bounds and threw the ball to Fox. And as soon as Fox touched it, they called the turnover on the Kings on an inbounds on an alpha made basket. And so
do you know how many times that happens and doesn't get called?
Well,
Chemezi did it, and I saw it. I saw Chemezi do it. They just didn't call it.
Yeah, that one was so obvious. Like, he was half inbounds, foot on the line, just like, but he was too hopped up. And so you hope that he settles in a little bit, because when he does settle in, man, he can be really exciting. He's a fun player to watch. He makes mistakes, but like, it's kind of like, we do, but it's kind of like Kevin Porter, right? Kevin Porter's fun to watch, but man, does he make some crazy mistakes.
That's a wild child right there.
Yeah, he is wild. He's all over the place, but that's, if TD played 30 something minutes a night, like Kevin Porter gets that opportunity, then maybe he could play through some of that stuff and start to calm down and start to figure it out. But that's just not who he is on this team, and he's had a difficult time staying in the rotation.
I look at tonight, and I think Keegan Murray talked about it. Will Z had up a stat about playing the team a second time. I think Keegan Murray's was specific to like these series, these little mini series, and he's like, we played Denver twice, and we won the second game, or whatever the case may be. I got a feeling that the Kings kind of handle business tonight. I know traditionally we look at a situation like this, and you're like, second game, it's always tough. Houston's going to be ready to go, whatever. I think it's going to be the exact opposite tonight. I think the Kings are going to play a lot better from the start on both sides of the ball and win this one rather easily.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. I'll say this, so like, I like not to completely like dump on Kevin Porter. I think that team is better when he's not playing major minutes, and he's not going to play tonight because he got injured. In the game right away. And I think that's why they were so close. He's a young player that you're allowing to learn through mistakes and play through mistakes and all that stuff. And he makes a ton of them. And it's not just like on the offensive end. It's not just flinging the ball 8 rows deep. Somebody who was it that sent the ball?
Ish Smith.
Oh man.
Well, no, but someone did it in the Rockets game.
On the Rockets game too?
Yeah, in the Rockets game.
I missed that one.
They sent one deep.
Because he's clumsy.
He would like thug life, man. That foul on Keegan Murray was like, that was violence.
What? Garrison was hanging out with Trista, I think, on Sunday. I don't know.
That was like total violence. Like,
that foul that was tough.
What are you doing? Like, you're gonna hurt somebody. Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on there.
And then had the nerve to look at flagrant.
Who, me? It must have been someone else.
Flagrant? Like, he was really confused by it.
He's like, "Come on, man!
Flagrant?
Come on!"
Yeah,
what are we doing?
It was Jabari Smith Jr. who threw the ball like well over their bench and into the stands. Yeah, he's out there looking like Bambi. Yeah.
How's Bambi look?
He's just all legs and
Bambi
timid, has no idea.
Can't really stand up right.
Yeah, he's just all out there awkward and like,
You
he's going to be good.
I mean, it's the story of like all deers or whatever when they're first born. They can't stand on their feet.
I can't even say with confidence I've seen Bambi the whole way through.
Well,
if I did, I was probably
don't remember
4.
Yeah, I don't
It's your
remember
standard Disney movie where they kill off the parent like the first.
Oh God!
Isn't that the same one where they burn down the forest?
Oh yeah, they killed the mom early. It's like Dumbo. They killed them, like all of them. Like,
Dumbo.
Disney's dark, man.
It is dark. Crazy. I mean, Cinderella has a stepmom. The mom, of course, died. Like, it's sort of their formula. Kill the mom in the first like 3 minutes and have it be a discovery. And I don't know.
They're good though. Disney's really good.
I don't know
They're
how
good.
we got here by me mentioning.
I know I need to rewatch
Bambi.
the Goofy movie. Ever since
I
watching
know,
Atlanta, I need to
right?
rewatch the Goofy movie. You ever seen the Goofy movie?
No, I don't think.
So, are you familiar with the show Atlanta?
No,
I haven't seen it. I've watched like an episode, but I haven't got through it.
it's really trippy, man.
Atlanta did a
I will watch it though.
They
'cause
did
I
a
Great
love.
show.
a phenomenal fictitious episode, but it was based around the Goofy movie, claiming it's the blackest movie ever made.
Blackest
Now-
movie Disney ever made.
Blackest movie Disney. Well, it's one of the greatest episodes of television you'll ever see. It's phenomenal, but I have to go see
So
I have to go rewatch the Goofy
The funny
movie
thing
now.
about that is they based that, they made an episode off a theory that was already out there.
An
Like I had
internet
heard,
idea,
yeah, I had
yeah.
heard that before, and they created a whole story about how that actually happened. It was some great TV. It really was.
Yeah. It goes back to the strange, like Pluto's a dog. So what is Goofy?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because I think you think Goofy's a dog, but then Pluto is Mickey Mouse's dog, and they're in the same movies together. So
a good
what
question.
is Goofy?
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Like,
Uh-huh.
not quite sure.
Oh,
Maybe someone in the chatty house has the answer to this.
It's pretty scandalous.
Scandalous.
scandalous stuff.
shout out to Disney.
Don't know how to segue here. Anybody got any ideas? You know what would be goofy, James?
Well, no. We think Malik Monk is a shooting guard. So what is De'Aaron Fox?
Not nearly as smooth a segue as one of Damien's,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Didn't quite have that one ready. Wasn't prepared. Wasn't prepared for the Disney talk.
That's hilarious.
Chimezie Metu's resurgence is taking place this week as well. The bench seems to have found a good little groove. Mike will never say this in his pregame press conference that you're going to head to here in about 15 minutes, but his expectation is for this team to win tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this team is always take it one win at a time, one game at a time, focus 100% on one game. And, I think that they're totally locked in on the one game, and they know that they have an opportunity here against Houston. But then again, you take it one game at a time and you got San Antonio. You take it one game at a time, you got the Lakers who are still beat up. You take it one game at a time, you got OKC. Next thing you know, if you can stay in the moment, you're 8 games over 500 and you're the
That's
talk of the
crazy.
league,
Yeah.
and you might get 2 All-Stars.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, they have an opportunity here to make some major push right now. And we talked about it before, but this is that moment, like don't let off, don't have another slip up. Take each game and each opponent seriously. They're all NBA players for a reason, and you need to respect that and go out there and play your game and, and knock off some bad teams.
Yeah.
I had a question for you, James, and this may be a little bit of a downer, but I'm not trying to be a downer.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of
Heel
reported.
Kenny Caraway. Jeez.
This is something within our circles that we've kind of assumed maybe or known for a while, but it was finally reported the other day that Rashawn is available. Does that like change anything around there, or is this just like it's been reported, so now maybe nationally people know, but it's the same discussions that's been going on for a while?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've said it for a while. Like, Rashawn Holmes is available. Like, that's the Kings. Like, from my conversations within the walls, there is a deep concern about like upsetting the apple cart if you were to trade Harrison Barnes, just because of what he means to the franchise, what he means to the locker room, and how fragile chemistry.
Also,
and,
he's good.
and all that stuff. And
I
he's
wouldn't
playing
do
really
it.
well.
I wouldn't do it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I told you guys this was, we just talked about this on the podcast. This was the worst case scenario. I told you guys this before the season
Right.
started. I
Yep.
said, this
I know where
is
you're
the
going.
worst case scenario,
Yep.
that this team is good and you can't trade Harrison Barnes because you're playing too well and you're worried about what it would do to the chemistry of the team. And if you can't trade him now and you lose him for nothing, it's a disaster because you don't have the raw cap space to go sign another Harrison Barnes, or for that matter, the raw cap space or the assets to go replace him, or the history of being able to get a player as good as Harrison Barnes in free
How do
agency.
you not have the raw cap space?
Well,
with
because you have
Harrison dropping off, Terrence Davis expiring.
Yeah,
Alex
you do have
Lynn.
a bunch. Yeah, you got Trey Lyles is expiring, Alex Lynn.
This sounds like a whole other host of problems. By the way, we're talking about Terrence Davis expiring. Terrence Davis, one thing. Trey Lyles has been really good for this team this year, too.
Yeah. So my point though is that look, it's going to be very difficult to find a player of that value, and if you can't retain him, or you can't get something for him on the way out the door, as far as like a sign and trade. Which who knows if you can get a sign and trade done with him. The sign and trades have kind of gone the way.
Hard.
Yeah, they've kind of disappeared at this point. It becomes like the worst case scenario. Now, when it comes to Holmes, I weeks ago, Holmes has been available. Holmes is available, and that shouldn't feel bad for him, and it shouldn't feel bad for anyone involved. It's the best thing for everyone. Like at this point, he needs to sort of reset himself. And he's still got, 2.5 years left on a contract, which of course the Kings wouldn't be in love with paying out, they're going to have to keep paying him. And he's got a player option for the fourth year at 12, well, maybe it's 13 million. There's no way he's not picking that up. I mean, he's not walking away from that kind of money to go make $1 million or $2 million somewhere else on a minimum scale deal and trying to rebuild his stuff at 31, 32 years old. So, if the Kings can find a home for him, then it would make sense. But, you're not going to take on a bunch of bad contracts. You're not going to limit your ability to do certain things, and you're going to do what you got to do. You're going to do what's right for you as a franchise, and hopefully the player as well. But the first goal is to do what's right for you as a franchise.
Yeah.
Just resign him. Be easy. Problem solved. Rashawn, come on, man. Or Harrison, I mean. Rashawn, not Rashawn.
Yeah, definitely.
Rashawn, we're going to find a home for you.
We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
Just resign Harrison.
Resign
that's the thing. Because you said this several times. Worst case scenario, it's literally what's facing the Kings right now with Harrison Barnes. But it feels like now that we're in the moment versus hypothesizing, over the summer, now that we're in the moment, to me, it feels easy. Okay, if he leaves, he leaves. You don't make the switch now unless you're confident. It has to be that De'Aaron Domas conversation we were talking about the other day. Man, God, I can't believe Harrison's gone. But we got ... It has to be that. And otherwise, you deal with the offseason in the offseason.
Yep.
Harrison is he's too valuable.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean the Kings still have salary cap flexibility.
Yeah.
They still have the ability to go out and get a player. I was even just hypothetically, not that I think that it would happen, but let's say that they decided that John Collins was an interesting player for them right now, not as a replacement for Harrison, not as a replacement for Keegan Murray, but as someone that you could go out and make a move without touching that group. So Rashawn Holmes, because again, you're taking on a player with $100 million. They have to take back some salary. So if you look at Rashawn Holmes,
not only are you taking back that player, you're taking back a player they clearly don't want and they never did.
Yeah. But
you're helping them out.
But you could do the deal. He only makes $23.5 million this year. You only have to be within 20% of that. So you could do a deal for whether it's Davion or Rashawn Holmes with Alex Len and Terrence Davis, or with Davion Mitchell. And then of course you're going to have to, work with picks. So is it possible that they would accept the pick you already owe them and strip down with zero, restrictions and just give up 2024 pick and then maybe something else on top of that? I don't know. What it will take, but it's a lot of money to absorb. But again, now your 3-forward rotation is John Collins, Harrison Barnes, and Keegan Murray.
In what order?
Does it matter? I don't think it does.
Probably to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Harrison isn't moving, so
but Keegan's a rookie, so I mean,
I was about to say, I think Collins will probably start.
yeah, and Keegan played the 3 and the 4, so he's probably the most versatile. Well, he's more versatile than Collins to play the 3 and the 4. But those are like, if you're going to do something like that, now you're locking in your cap space long term. But if you lose Harrison Barnes, at least you still have a buffer to do something. I just don't know.
The other thing with Harrison, in worst case scenario, he leaves. You know, you didn't trade for him or trade, to get anything for him. I think this summer, Sacramento would be a little better. I'm not saying they get Giannis, but it'd be a little more appealing to people than it was 12 months ago.
Giannis want to see the beam up close in person.
It's true.
Might
It's
be
true. He got California ties, but you
Does
can
he?
go. Yeah, his fiance is from Fresno.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, maybe you be in the running for. He's not a free agent, but like Jay Crowder or PJ Washington or something like that. Like, whereas 12 months ago, I'm going to Sacramento. You guys haven't done anything in a minute, so
Every GM always thinks they'll be the guy that can turn it around and you'll be able to get somebody. And I'll tell you, the best free agent to ever sign in Sacramento ever is Vlade Divac.
for
Ever.
sure.
And then we start to get to who's the second best and who's the third best. And the second best might be like
Malik Monk.
It might be right there. It might be George Hill during that when he signed, but he didn't work out. But when he signed, he's coming off 17 points a game.
I'm going Malik over George Hill. Yeah, we're out of here. Real quick, you got the 49ers tomorrow, Hammer?
I do.